What's going on, guys? Pegasus from the Wise Guys. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you sub, make sure you hit the bell. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera. Been doing a lot of stuff off of the camera, a lot of stuff out in the community. Had a lot of stuff to handle personally as well, but I'm back in front of the camera a little bit more. I wanted to talk about Drytron. Drytron was already the meta deck, but I have this series called Meta of Tomorrow where we bring up decks that are going to be the meta decks tomorrow, and well, let's face it, Drytron has fell off for now, but it will definitely 100% come back. Now, it fell off specifically because Ben 10 got limited and Union Carrier also got banned completely out of the game. So that pretty much left us kind of stuck getting double whammied by the ban list and then having to deal with, well, where the hell do we go from now? Now we have the Van Dread stuff, the Megalith stuff, and with that, I have a tech that we're going to get into before I get into a little bit more of what I want to talk about as far as where the deck is going. So without further ado, let's get into a little bit more of the video and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go. So in touching on a little bit of the tech that I wanted to talk about, we have to talk about the present of the deck. The present version of the deck is just a little bit too fair. It allows your opponent to get off with too much, and with no real powerful card to carry it into the new frontier of the meta, which a card like Fafnir is going to do, Mubeta is going to do to exceed. There needs to be something that's a little bit more unfair for your opponent to be able to deal with, and Diviner's not out either, so that basically leaves us all kind of hanging up in the air as to what to do with the deck right now. With that out of the way, I specifically believe that it's a strong, at least, possibility that you could play Megalith Haggith instead of Ophiel, and I'll explain why. Megalith Haggith says you can ritual summon this card with a Megalith card, blah, 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 like most of them say. But it specifically says if this card is ritual summoned, you can add one Megalith spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Now, why is that decent, or why is that something that I'm mentioning right now, is because that adding a spell or trap can help you add a card like Megalith Unformed. Megalith Unformed says ritual summon, the one that matters, ritual summon one Megalith ritual monster from your deck in defense position by attributing monsters from your hand or field whose total levels equal exactly twice its level. So that's decent, but it's also not super duper great. It's just something that you may want to try out. It's not super duper great because it literally is actually adding a brick into your deck, the Megalith Unformed, which unfortunately you kind of have to play. Now, I'm saying adding a brick, if you were already playing 2 Bathor, 2 Full, and 1 Ophiel, then it's not actually adding a brick, it's just kind of shifting it. But most people have went the minimalist route where they're playing 2 Full and then 1 and 1, which basically leaves an extra slot with what I'm mentioning on the horizon, and leaves it on the table where it's actually an extra card inside of your deck. Now, why is that bad? Because yes, even that one card can actually throw the math off in your deck a little bit, because basically every card that you draw, you want to be interactive or you want to stop your opponent. So if I'm wanting to stop my opponent like the previous format, then I probably wanted to put in more hand traps. Now that Herald of Ultimateness isn't quite in as many places and the Ben 10s aren't being looped over and over and over again, people don't have an endless amount of fairies in their hand. Therefore, you can usually play through their hand if you have a Dark Ruler as well to deal with the board, or a Droplet, whatever you're doing to deal with the board. Now you can kind of play through that board and through their hand, whereas before you actually couldn't. So again, the trade-off is a little bit of math, but if you were playing 2, 2, and 1 in your ratio before, then this is just something to think about, because this helps you play around Dark Ruler no more, as well as Droplets and some other cards, but those are the main ones that came to mind when I was thinking about it. Now let's get into some combos. Fun.